Hi everybody, this is Jane from Willow Blue Vintage, and today I'm going to be showing you my November journal for the Graphics Fairy. So I decided to do a painted journal this time. It's a concertina journal and it's fastened with a piece of sari silk that I dyed using some leaves, so it's botanically dyed silk. And it opens by undoing the bow and then just taking the ribbon out of one of the eyelets. So one side of the journal is entirely painted and the other has some painting but is mostly pockets with journaling cards in. So it's a functional journal, but on one side it's purely decorative. So I left one side uncovered, which forms the back of the journal, and the front, as you can see, is covered with paint and collage. So the construction of the journal, the whole thing was made from sketchbook paper, which I then collaged with old book pages, bits of old paper, and a lot of ephemera prints from the Graphics Fairy. So I used things like this from the antique ephemera bundle, antique paper scraps. Those two are antique paper scraps, that's ephemera collection. That's some script ephemera, French papery, and then lots of different bits of script ephemera. So I printed those onto different shades and weights of paper and collaged those, so the whole thing was covered in those to start with. And then, as you can see, as I started painting over them, only bits of them are visible on the painted side. So I used lots of different bird images. Oops, I have to keep that in shot because it's long and difficult to film. So the bundles that I used, I've done a write-up for this for the website blog, but I used Birdwatcher's Bliss. There was the owl and that magpie. I used birds on branches. Didn't use those in the end. I used winter birds and camping trip for the owl, that's the front cover image. I used this one from winter birds, that one. Sorry, that one. And I did a search just for dove, just looking through images, and got that one. And then these from winter birds and birds on branches. So that's where the bird images came from. And then I did a technique where I sort of paint an area and then blend it so that it works its way right throughout, because what I wanted was that the images didn't look like they'd just been kind of plonked there. I wanted them to look like it was a cohesive work of art, so that all of the images are tied together, partly by using the same colour palette, but mainly by using this technique of blending and using these dots that are sort of a cohesive feature that work their way right through the journal. So at this end, because the owl's nocturnal, I wanted to make this a sort of nighttime, so painted the moon in and lots of stars. And then as you work your way through the journal, we've got different birds, so we've got more sort of daylight colours here, and I painted some of these leaves, so they're based on the ones that are on this print, but I painted some extra ones and they sort of feature throughout the book, so that they're blowing. There's another one there, sort of blowing across the whole journal. And then at this end we've got another owl, so another nocturnal dark scene with the stars. So that's one side. You can open it like that so you can sort of look at it as a normal book as well. And then the other side, so I did one painted page at the start of this dove, and I used these white spots and they kind of continue throughout, just dotted across the pockets until they bring you to this end, to the white side. So again, it's sort of feeding the colours all the way through the journal. because this is the more functional part of the journal, I wanted to really sort of pack it full of journal pockets so that there is lots of places to journal, even though one side is completely painted and you obviously wouldn't want to write on that side. So I made pockets. Most of these were made from the vintage Papery bundle, which is a brand new one, and it's fabulous for the basics that you want, really. So lots of these distressed old papers, foxed paper, really lovely prints to use as backgrounds for collages or backing paper for journal cards. Some really lovely prints and colours. So I made bundles of journal cards, and in this one some of the vintage Papery, and I used distress ink around the edges just to sort of age them a bit more. And then I used some of the vintage postcard bundle that I printed out, put some of the Papery on the back, so printed it double-sided, some vintage bits of paper, and using the printables tab on the premium site, I searched for collage sheets for Altoid tins, and there's loads of designs that are ready made for you, really. So made into this Altoid tin shape, this sort of tablet shape, and the design's already been made to fit that shape, so perfect for little journal cards. So I used quite a few of those Altoid tin prints. This one I added some wax to and aged it, and then rubbed a bit of acrylic paint into it, so you get this really nice aged appearance. I won't bother putting the string back on for now. So plenty more of those, all different types. So again, some more Altoid prints, the old Papery, and I put them at different angles just for interest. Nice owl print that I aged there, holly on an Altoid tin collage sheet. Another nice little bundle there where I've got an old postcard, some paper and owl. And behind you can see all the nice papers, so some of them are original, that's an old piece of map, lots of them are prints from the Graphics Fairy. That's another nice piece of ephemera made into an Altoid shape, an egg card print. And when I put the wax on it, sometimes the wax goes through to the other side, so you get a nice distressed look on the other side as well. And this final bundle, this is from the Luna something, I can't remember, Luna bundle. Really lovely print there. Again, some nice ephemera ones, old postcard, all sorts. So lots of really lovely textural, interesting journal cards that stops the journal from just being a pretty painted thing to an actual functional journal. And then the other thing that I did was, on the Feathered Friends bundle, there's this printable sheet of really nice phrases in this kind of old typewriter font. So I cut some of those out, and they're kind of dotted throughout the journal. So like here, the birds of hope are everywhere, listen to them sing, love lightens labour. So lots of those on each of the pockets, and on the reverse, on the painted side, there's some of those spread through as well. So we've got gratitude there, where flowers bloom so does hope, kindness, blessings. So those are dotted through as well. So I hope you enjoyed looking at that journal, and I hope it inspires you to use those bundles. Thank you.